So, what's your opinion of the first 2 weeks of Colorado Buffaloes football?
Yeah. So the first week, they played a good FCS program, North Dakota State. They skated by. Travis Hunter was fantastic. Last week, they just got whooped. It is the first time, they're at Nebraska. Big difference from the year before when Nebraska was turning it over left and right, with Jeff Sims playing quarterback. And then you got Dylan Raiola, who looked really good. It's the first time since Deion's been there where the defense actually looked better than the offense. Now some of that's credit to Robert Livingston. That was a good hire by Deion. He's a longtime assistant with the Bengals, first-time defensive coordinator. I think they are better on the D-line. The problem is they're so bad on the O-line, and there's a lot of stuff that you just like, man, this feels like it's going in a really bad direction right now. And
why is that? Is it the stuff with the media and
it's all sorts of stuff. It's just like, I feel like is Shedeur and Deion, are they on the team bus with them? It's all these little things that I don't know if they're little or not, and there's so many times where it feels like they're trying to put out little media fires. And I don't know if they're media fires or if they're team chemistry fires, who knows? But like, I think we'll know I think this team has enough frontline talent to win 8 games. They're also shaky enough on the offensive line and in some places where they could also only win 4 games. I don't think the margin for error is that great. Like,
well, the way that happens is if Shedeur is hurt, right?
Well, that would be, yeah. And
and the way that he gets hurt is because the line is shaky, again, protecting him and getting maybe a balance in the game with a run game. And it's just like him throwing 50 times.
I think some of that is, but a lot of that is on the head coach now. I mean, you have an O-line coach who's never been, he was a GA, but this is the first time where it's his room. That's a big challenge when you're trying to build an offensive line. What was horrible last year, and there's a lot of new guys in it. You're starting a talented but still a true freshman at one of the tackles. The right side of the offensive line looks really bad. Now, they played a good D-line at Nebraska last week. I think that D-line is better. Like, they should be able to win the next 2 games. It's Colorado State, who gave them a good game last year.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That was Shadesgate, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that it?
And then they have Baylor, who's struggling. But Dave Aranda is running the defense now. Dave Aranda is one of the sharpest defensive minds in all of football.
Uh-huh.
You got to come out of those 2 games 3-1 if you're them, because if they're not, I think all these other things that kind of start to come to light, these little, again, I don't know if they're little or medium-sized little grease fires, but there's just a lot of stuff that successful teams don't have like that, I feel like. And again, some of it has become an us against the world vibe that I feel like is happening with CU and Deion. Look, and I'm a person who said before the season, I think they're going to win 8 games. I'm not checked out on it, because I do think the defense is better than it was last year, significantly better. I think Shedeur is a terrific quarterback, and I think they not only have Travis Hunter, I think Jimmy Horn Jr. is terrific, and they have 2 other receivers who are very good. It's just that the O-line's bad, and they don't do anything in the run game, and so eventually, how do you hold up in that? How do you play complementary football to support the other side of the ball? And they're also, like, they don't have great depth, and again, it's fascinating to watch, but I think a lot of the people who were all in on Deion are getting some buyer's remorse of how it's working out right now.
I mean, if you're talking about, Matt Rule, we talked about before, the coach that just beat Colorado, and how it takes a couple years for him to get his program up and running, correct? I mean, Deion took over damn near a 0-win football team.
No,
right?
They were awful.
Correct. So, but I understand that when Deion says, we're coming, and people will then say, okay, the opposition was coming for you, and look at you, you've lost. And so I understand that the manner in which he conducts his post-game press conferences leads to people to say, not give him the time to build, right?
If I put you on the spot with this question,
okay,
I want to hear your answer.
Sure.
So if I said to you, give me a % chance that Deion Sanders will be the head coach of Colorado a year from now, keeping in mind that Shedeur is probably going to go in the draft and I would guess would be a first-round pick. Travis Hunter likely would go in the draft and also be a very high pick.
I think Travis Hunter might be a top 5 pick.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
In the NFL.
He's phenomenal.
That's for real,
and
man,
Shedeur
for sure,
is
yeah.
really good.
Yeah, he is.
And
so you're saying that Deion just took the Colorado job to get his kid drafted?
No, I'm saying like 2 years. I'm asking you, how certain are you that you think when those guys leave, Deion's still going to be the head coach at CU?
Listen, I love the guy, and and just like everybody, and just like everybody else that I love, I can't get in his head. I can't get in anybody's head like that.
But do you think?
But I would say he's going to be there. Yeah.
You think there's a more than 50% chance?
Yeah, because the guy loves to coach. He loves to coach. He loves to fish. I think he does dig it up there.
I think it's going to be way harder for him.
Why do you think he'd want to tap out?
I don't know if it's tapping out.
Definitely would be tapping out.
I think the job will be way harder when you do not have Shedeur and Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. Like, I think without those guys, I feel like that program feels like it could be a 2-win.
But nobody ever thought that Deion could get Travis Hunter. Remember that was the
Will there be a new one that
eyebrow raiser of the day when he's like, yeah, guess who I got from my alma mater too. You know, and so why can't he do it again? You know,
it's possible. I mean, look, you could say, hey, I see you as the next Travis, and you can sell that. I mean, he's actually shown that. You can say, you know, he's raised a first round. I think he'll be a first round quarterback, and so you can sell that. But I just think, to me, unlike most programs, the gap between the top players and their roster and what's behind them is profound. Like, I'm not saying, you know, Raiola isn't markedly better than Harburg, who's their backup or whatnot, but I don't think, you know, for as great as like Jeremiah Smith is at Ohio State, the freshman receiver, the guys behind him are going to be probably really good NFL players.
Well, that's Ohio State wide receivers.
I know. I'm comparing, but even still, if you look at pick, you know, Penn State guys again, or because we're talking about playoff teams, we're not talking about like the Oklahoma States and Arizonas and the rest of the Big 12.
Yeah.
But even like, to me, it's just like you're talking about first round draft guys compared to the guys behind them feel like there's a huge gap, and I'm just thinking when they leave.
Well, here's how I would also respond: is that Deion's entire career in life, he's always it's always assumed he's doing stuff just for himself.
Oh, I think he's
or just for the sizzle, just for the attention. You know, must be the money, right? And then you scratch deeper, and it's deeper than that. And it always is deeper than that. So I would counsel just to say I understand the vibe that you get, like that when his kid's gone and Travis Hunter's gone and the other top guys are gone, he might think about the exits rather than trying to build it up with other people. My question for you is where would he wind up?
I don't
just
know.
Not in coaching anymore.
I don't, like everything. My sense of it is the first and foremost thing is you see a dad who is doing everything he can to help his sons. And you know, I would put Travis in there because he has such a bond with him. But I feel like a lot of it is everything is built around Shedeur, Shiloh, and I know somebody else would make the case, hey, if he was doing everything he could, why would he not get the offensive line better? I think they're trying. It's a hard thing to do in college football, to develop an offensive line. You can't just like put it in, you know, put a bunch of ingredients in a pot and then, you know, you get something out of it. But like, I feel like everything is about Shedeur and his sons and trying to develop them and showcase them and nurture them. And look, he is, you know, I think it's really hard to raise a first round quarterback, you know, again, and this was a guy who started out as college at FCS level and has proven a ton of people wrong. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like I would say, let's say those guys both leave as first round picks. Like, I don't know what and only Deion would be able to answer this, you know, but like after that, like what is the thing that's going to drive him to do all the stuff that it takes to build a program that can compete for championships? It is a grind, and there's a lot of stuff that is like, it's a much harder job, I think, now than it was 10 years ago in terms of like the recruiting piece of it. And it's not just being on Zooms when you have like some transfer. It's not just having an NIL war chest. I just think there's so much that goes into it, so many headaches and everything else. And I think it gets just, I actually think it becomes a lot harder after this year.
Maybe what would keep him going is the fact that folks would be questioning he's not up for the grind or doesn't want to do it once his kid's out the door. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, we know he's great on TV. I know he knows some TV people who think very highly of him.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.